Ladies and gentlemen, this is an episode I wish I didn't have to record for this purpose, but today, if you haven't seen from the title already, we're going to be talking about how the Chicago Bulls have a big problem. So if you want to hear more about that, stay tuned right after the intro. Thank you for tuning into podcast number 77 of Sports Talk with JWock. I am your host, Jonah Walkenfoos, and like you saw from the intro, today we're going to be talking about the Chicago Bulls, and I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm sorry that I'm probably the only one that's actually a Bulls fan. Like, for anybody that watches this, I guarantee you there's probably no Bulls fans watching this. But anyways, I just have to get this off my chest because it's really annoying how bad this team really is playing. And you guys are going to look at the record and be like, well, they're not that bad. I mean, let me look at their record real quick. I can't remember. They're 9-8 right now. So they're technically above 500. So it's like, you guys are probably like, why are you so mad about this team? Well, here's my reasoning. I'm going to be doing just a few things, talking about how this Bulls team is playing bad, what they're doing bad, and then how they can possibly fix this absolute mess. So let's first start off with, on Monday night, they played the New Orleans Pelicans, one of the worst teams in the NBA. I believe at that time, their record was 2-15. 2-15. They were technically, I think the second worst team in the NBA record-wise, only behind the Washington Wizards, whom, must I remind you, the Bulls almost lost to them a couple nights ago, which was insane. The Bulls lost to the New Orleans Pelicans in New Orleans on Monday night with the final score of 143-130. So they let this Pelicans team, who's averaging 118 points per game before Monday night, they allowed 143 points. So that should say something about their defense. They were out-hustled, out-rebounded, and straight up outplayed. This Bulls team was terrible that night. They've been terrible the last few nights. And in my opinion, one of the big problems with this Bulls team is just the way they start games. They are so bad at prepping for games, and that starts with the coaching staff. But it also comes down to the players. The players have to be prepared and prepare themselves, but it just feels like the game plan going into each game is so bad. If you watch any Bulls game, it feels like they always dig themselves in a hole in the first 2 minutes of the game where they're down double digits already because the Bulls are turning the ball over too much because they do like to play with pace, which I understand, and I think pace is a good thing at times, but you also have to have a controlled pace. You can't just have an uncontrolled pace, and if you don't know what that means, a controlled pace is you're playing quickly, but you're also not turning the ball over like a ton. You're going to turn the ball over every once in a while because that's just what happens, but turning the ball over almost every single time in the fast break is not good. Playing uncontrolled pace is what they're doing, where they're playing fast and they're just playing recklessly. They don't care about turning the ball over or not. It's just bad. They're making dumb decisions. Sometimes it'll be like a 2-on-1 fast break and they'll pull up from 3 instead of passing to the teammate or just attacking the basket and getting a layup instead. I'd rather take the easy 2 than take a 3, even if it's wide open. I could care less. Go take the layup unless you're down and you genuinely need that 3-pointer to stay alive in the game. But anyways, let's just keep on going. So how I was talking about how the Bulls were outplayed, they're playing with bad pace. But yeah, they're getting absolute, every single game, it feels like the prep is not good. And we noticed that. And I talked about in earlier episodes, talking about how the Bulls were 4-0 and how they were playing really well. Well, that's because opposing defenses and just teams in general didn't really know what the Bulls were doing. Now that we're a couple games in, the Bulls have played 17 games now, other teams and coaches are now able to scout the Bulls, and the Bulls have yet to change their game plan. And it's just the same game plan, which is leading teams to being able to beat the Bulls because it's pretty obvious of what they're doing offensively, and defensively, they look horrible. So the Bulls are able to fix that, and that's on the coaches. That is 100% on Coach Billy Donovan, which I'll be talking about him later. I can't even explain it right now. Billy Donovan has been one of the worst coaches I've actually experienced sometimes because he's been the coach for, I think, 6 years now. I might be wrong about that, but It feels like forever. He genuinely has coached multiple different groups. I mean, he's coached a group like this current group. He's coached a group with players consisting of Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, and Nikola Vucevic, and they still have similar records. He only can coach a mediocre team unless there's a superstar on the team, which the Bulls do not have. It's just insane how bad of a coach he truly is and how bad of rotations he is. He doesn't ride the hot hand at the end of the game. He always has to play the starters unless your name is Modest Buzelis. And like it's just frustrating how he coaches this team. And like on Monday, I remembered literally just like almost wanting to turn the game off because of how bad it was. It's becoming to the point to where it's hard to watch the Bulls games sometimes because of how badly coached it is, and also just how badly the players are playing. It's not just on the coach, but it is a lot of it is on the coach and how his rotations are. He's playing players at the end of the bench like Julian Phillips, who's been okay lately, but like Dalen Terry, Javon Carter, it's like, why are you playing them instead of our first round pick who we spent a lot of time? Like, I understand you want to develop Noah Senge, but you need to play the kid. You can't just have him go down to the G League, ball out, and then have him come to the NBA and play 4 minutes a game. It doesn't work like that. You have to let him develop. I know he's 18 years old. He's young. Okay, anyways, let's keep on track here because I do not want to make this a long video. Another thing I noted was the bench comes in and outplays the starters almost every single game. And is that necessarily a bad thing? Not really, but at the same time, yes, because our starters need to set the tone early in the game so then our bench can come in and continue to build off of what the starters built instead of having to rebuild something that the starters couldn't do. Ayo Dosunmu specifically has been unbelievable this year for the Bulls, and I think he should be a candidate for Sixth Man of the Year. Maybe that's biased, but go look at his numbers. He's playing unbelievable right now. It feels like the bench is just outplaying the Bulls every single time. And like when the starters come in or come back in the game, it's like all of that just goes away and the starters just blow a lead or whatever it is. And it's just frustrating, So that's just kind of the problems the Bulls have. And it's getting to the point to where it's like this Bulls team is so mediocre. Like we're not good enough to be a playoff caliber team. Like we're not good enough to win a series in the playoffs right now. And we're not bad enough to have a bad enough, to get a good draft pick. Like we're going to just be right in the middle in that pick 10 through 15 or 10 through 18 throughout the rest of like for the next couple of years if the Bulls do not fix this situation. So leading up to that, now let's talk about what the Bulls can do to potentially fix this situation because this is an absolute mess. Well, first off, I know this isn't ever going to happen, but if Jerry Reinsdorf can sell the Chicago Bulls and just let a new owner take over this franchise, that would be unbelievable. It'd be great. An owner that would be, excited about the future, wanting to help not just the Bulls rep, not just their name, because that's what it feels like Jerry Reinsdorf is doing. He's just trying to sell tickets instead of actually win basketball games. If we could get an owner that would actually be committed to the Chicago Bulls and want this team to win games, that would be great. But that's never going to happen, so I'm not going to actually have that as a point. The first point I think is the Bulls need to get a new head coach. It's been multiple years now with Billy Donovan. It's clearly not worked out. This Bulls team has won one playoff game under Billy Donovan. One. And then the rest of the years, it's just like the same old, same old. We get to the play-in tournament, we win our first game, and then we get obliterated by the Miami Heat because we get out-coached by Eric Spoelstra, which, by the way, Spoelstra is a great coach. But the Bulls, those couple of years, honestly had almost a better roster. And they still were getting outplayed and just beat by the Heat every single time. It's just getting annoying. I wouldn't be surprised if the Bulls lose to the Heat in the play-in tournament again, because that's just how it works at this point. But yeah, number one, get a new head coach. It's time to move on. Get a new, younger coach that's good at developing players and wants to help this team win. A good coach that can make adjustments on the fly instead of adjustments just in pregame, because that's all it feels like Billy Donovan knows how to do. He also is coaching, and I know a lot of Bulls fans, are kind of debating this, but like Billy Donovan is coaching Modest Buzelis way too hard. And I know Buzelis wanted to get coached very hard he wanted Billy Donovan to coach him hard, but it's to the point to where Billy Donovan is coaching him to the point to where if Modest Buzelis makes any mistake, whether that's a missed box out or just like not really chasing the rebound, which I understand, like you need to have that urgency, but he pulls him out and it doesn't feel like he's coaching him. He just pulls him out, has him go sit on the bench, and he has to Buzelis has to almost evaluate it on his own, which is not really coaching. That's just telling him,